Hi Perelle, thank you so much for uploading your pictures. Good job, looking good. Let's jump straight in. So we've got our. It was a bit just in regards to the upload. Please try and stay with the program, as in you upload a few extra pictures with funny names and stuff. It just causes me a little bit of extra work. So if you just try and adhere to be really precise according to the rules that we ask, the names, the numbers of pictures, etc., etc. It just helped me a lot. Okay, let's jump in. First, we've got these pictures: 1,000, 60, and 15. And you've done this really well. This is excellent. Exactly what we're trying to show. We chose these numbers very specifically. A 1,000th of a second basically is quick enough to freeze any kind of human action. The three kinds of pictures that I take where people are in movement is running, jumping, and spinning pictures. Okay, I can't think of any others than that. Now, those, if it's a regular human being and we're not dealing with like jet rockets or stuff like that, then 1,000th of a second will freeze action. Okay, any movement, if you can make it faster, that's fine, but 1,000th of a second is basically my benchmark, my lowest, my slowest shutter speed that I use when I'm trying to freeze the action. Okay, and you've demonstrated that perfectly here. That this little kid here, you can see, since he's flying, he has been frozen pin sharp. Excellent, well demonstrated. So obviously, if you can freeze movement at 1,000th of a second, then your camera, the vibrations of your hand will also not register. As you can see here, that you actually, truth is, you just missed the focus drop, and you focused on the glass. But you can see, obviously, there is no camera shake whatsoever at 1,000th of a second. That is not the case, however, at a 60th of a second. Now, a 60th of a second, for sure, cannot freeze movement. Okay, any movement that's taking place in the image, if a person's moving in any way, that will not be frozen at a 60th of a second. However, what's also very important to remember is you cannot also generally hold your camera steady at a 60th of a second without a huge amount of attention to holding your camera steady. Which means if you're just taking pictures without thinking very, very intensely about holding your camera steady, you will not end up with sharp images. Okay? It's a very important thing to remember. A 60th of a second. I don't shoot without flash at a 60th of a second, because I never find that my pictures are sharp enough. I'm trying to get to at least a 200th of a second, and even better is even quicker than that, 3/20th, a 400th, a 500th of a second. Okay, and now at a 15th of a second, it's a disaster. There's nothing doing whatsoever. You for sure can't freeze any action, and even more to the point, you can't keep your camera steady at 15th of a second. So please keep those in mind. That 1,000th of a second or quicker is great for any kind of action images. A 60th of a second is okay if you are really, really conscious about holding your camera steady. Pardon me. And a 15th of a second is useless for everything. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, so now this is your panning picture, and it did not work out the way we wanted it to work out. Please redo that. That is not what we were looking for. His arm has been frozen somehow, but how is that? It could be what happened here is as he ran, his arm was... I don't exactly know what happened here, but you didn't get this. This is not what we were looking for. Go back to the homework. Go back to the homework video. Please try and redo this, because it's really important to understand that as your subject is moving, you move with your subject. I would imagine that you would need to take about 10 pictures until you really nail a decent one, and even then it's not going to be perfect, but this is very far from perfect. So I suggest redoing that just to try and get that down clear, but it should end up taking the image of the subject. Should be the subject's definitely, pardon me, We just had a baby a couple of days ago, so I'm still dealing with a lot of stuff. Anyway, that the subject should be relatively sharp. You're never going to get the subject pin sharp, never. But relatively sharp next to the background that should be really with a lot of movement. Okay, so I would imagine that you should be needing to shoot probably about 10 pictures to nail this one. It's definitely worth having a go. Definitely worth spending some more time trying to nail that. Okay, this is your spinning picture. So now it's not bad, it looks okay, just the problem is because you've got only a 50mm lens. I know you followed my instructions and I think that's a good idea. Just for this homework, it's not the best lens to use because we can't really see what's going on in the background. So although she is relatively sharp and it looks like the background's kind of blurry, we just can't really see the background. So it doesn't really demonstrate the point, but you don't need to redo that one. I think you understand that. And the issue is the lens that you have. To do this properly, you need a wide angle lens, but I still very much hold by the equipment that I recommended that you buy, which I see that you did. You got the 30D, good idea, with the 50mm 1.8, great. But just for this one image, it's not so good. Okay, me in 3. So now you used a light background. Which means that you kind of disappeared. If you were to redo this with a black, again, I wouldn't redo this. I think you understood this, but the problem is that it's a very light background. I think I did mention on the video to try and use a dark background, but generally people have a problem finding a dark background. But this would be much, much better with a dark background. We can see that if it's you, I'm assuming it's you, you managed to hold still for probably 10 seconds. You're probably here for a little bit longer than you were for here and for here. I think it was you were here the longest, and then here for the shortest. That's because you're the most faint over there. But I think it's clear that you're getting the idea. So very good. Nice one. Okay. These are cool. Oh, you're in Israel. Okay. So now the issue is, go and have a think. What happened here? Why are these lines all jiggly and jittery, etc.? You took a 10-second image. Why are these lines all jiggling around? And what happened to this traffic light here? So the answer is that you didn't hold the camera steady. Okay? To take this picture, and it's a cool picture to take, it's definitely worth playing around trying to do this again, is to take this picture correctly, you need to put the camera down in a way that you let go and the camera's just a happy still camera. Okay, most people, they balance it on like the edge of something and they're still holding it. If they were to let go, it'd fall off. So they're holding it and they feel it's still because it's balanced on something, but it isn't balanced. Okay, it isn't still, sorry, it isn't still. A still camera, physics is absolutely what's the word? Not unrelenting. It's real, it's precise. It's completely, what's that word? Not relentless. Exacting. It's absolutely exacting. And if the camera is not held dead still, it will register in your picture. So that's the reason why you have these wiggly lines over here, why this has been moved over here, why these have moved up and down, etc. Try and do this again. Yeah, you don't have to upload this picture, but just for yourself to have a nice shot. It's only take you much a few seconds to do. Just make sure the camera is down still. Okay, so you let go, you take your picture, you let go of the camera, and you will end up with a nice picture. Okay, you've done here as well. This was a little bit better. In fact, this is actually very good. Again, it could be that you moved it slightly again. This is for a shorter exposure. It's only 5 seconds. This one's a little bit better. Although this one looks cool, I think, but this is a little bit better. One thing that I do really appreciate here is the composition. Nice composition. You've held the camera here. You've held the camera relatively steady. You can see here these lines are pretty sharp. This is right near where I live. Yep, I live in Sanhedria. Okay. So now on to our photo shoot. So really, ideally, I would like it if you would take portrait pictures, because really that's what we're trying to That's really what we're trying to give over here. But I will discuss these pictures for you. This image is actually quite nicely composed. It's not sharp, yeah, because you're at a 60th of a second, you didn't hold the camera dead still. But we can see a reoccurring pattern here with a perspective, depth perspective. It's actually a nice picture of what it is. I probably, however, would have focused on this cup over here, but graphically it's actually quite a nice shot. The one issue is, again, you're at a 60th of a second, which means that you weren't holding your camera perfectly steady, which means you do not have a sharp picture. Okay, that could have been remedied. You're going to learn in the next class, in class 4, about your aperture, which means you could have opened up your aperture from 4.5 to wider, and that would have allowed you to have a quicker shutter speed. Right now you're shooting in shutter priority. Okay, good. Like I say to everybody, at this point in the class, you're going to look back at these pictures in literally 2 or 3 weeks and think, wow, look how far I've come. I can't believe that I was making these mistakes. Look at what I've learned. Okay, so this is a nice shot. This is great. This is shot at a 6/40th of a second, which means she's pin sharp. You've cropped in. I'm wondering if you've actually compressed this or just cropped in a lot. I'm not too sure. But this is actually, composition is excellent. We could definitely improve the stats, but right now we're not there. But composition, this is actually perfect. You're on a third, beautifully on a third. Okay, and we've got an excellent amount of movement going in this way. This line also is very important to the composition. We've got great movement coming in this way, going in the direction of the way that this girl's traveling. Excellent. This is a great picture. Excellent shot. Nice one. The light on her face is horrible, but there's not really much you can do about that. But again, like I said, the most important thing here is that you're really showing your sensitivities to the balance of the image. Good composition, excellent shot, nice one. Okay, so again, it's a well balanced picture. It's got a lot of depth to it. I like this could have been a good for patterns, a good example for patterns in the first homework. Look at all these reoccurring, all these lines here like this. This is great. So the pattern content here is great. This could be taken into Lightroom and given a lot more life by adding clarity to just make all these lines much more heavy. But again, nice picture. I appreciate that it's panoramic as well. Always adds a bit of energy. Good. Okay. Compositionally, this is okay. I like the depth. I like the contrast between the dark area here and the light area here, and that you've got this kind of perspective depth in the background. It's nicely framed. Not too crazy on the composition. This lady being cropped off here is it kind of like it ends. It's like, so it doesn't end properly. It's like, why did the picture finish here? Why not put in the whole arch, or get at least cropping over here or something like that? It just doesn't feel like it hasn't been thought out properly. Okay, and here we again you suffered from the same issue, unfortunately, with the 60th of a second, where you ended up you're not quite quick enough, and also you're at 1600 ISO, which again I know you don't know about, but that's left you with a huge amount of noise on your in your image. But the real problem here is that it wasn't quick enough for you to hold the camera steady, so you've ended up with not a sharp picture. But again, you have demonstrated that you have a good eye, and you have a real sensitivity to the balance of the image. The composition here is actually excellent. It really is excellent. This is great. You've got the things going on the third. It's balanced. You've got this triangle here of the whatever you call these, of the spices. I would maybe get down a little bit lower. If you got down a little bit lower, it would add a little bit more depth perspective. But again, technically this is not very good. There's a long way to go, but that's why you're doing our class, and you will get there, B'ezrat Hashem. But on a level of understanding the image, you're demonstrating a real sensitivity to photography, and you, B'ezrat Hashem, will be an excellent photographer. Okay, let's take a picture. Let's take this image into Lightroom. You've probably done the Lightroom course by now, the Lightroom workshop. If not, it's coming up very soon. But let's have a look here just to see again, like we always do. We always take an image into Lightroom. And I think here we are going to go black and white. And we are going to add a lot of power. So I actually have one that I've made here called this is a preset called Power Black and White. You see what that just did? So Power Black and White, I want to put also the contrast up a little bit. Okay, so it puts up the exposure, it puts up the shadows, whites, blacks, and the clarity up quite a lot. There we go. And I think we're also going to put in a vignette. So basically what I've done here is I've just decided there's a lot of power in this image, a lot of energy and power, and I want to go with that. That's what I always, this is like one of the big things of Lightroom, is determining what the image is. Like is it an energized image? Is it a passive image? What is it? Think of the one word that goes with the image and then go all the way with that. Go all the way with that. So I'm also going to crop it a little bit more like this. Let's have a look. We went from here to here. Very nice, a lot more energy there. Okay, Perelle, excellent. Keep up the good work. Keep practicing. Just remember that every extra minute you put into taking pictures is worth it. It's an investment. If you get frustrated, that's great. Frustration is great. Just turn it into energy. Don't let it destroy. Don't let it don't ever allow it to turn into despair. Frustration can become energy if you just stay positive with it and don't give up when things don't work. Don't just go don't try one click and then it's like, you know what? Keep trying, and you will get it. I promise you, this is not above you in any way, shape or form. Keep trying, put in energy, and you will see great things, B'ezrat Hashem, over the next couple of weeks. Okay, wishing you all the best.